You don't have any to keep. Here's your wallet.
Robert Redford, the legendary actor and filmmaker, has finally broken his silence on rumors that have been swirling around Hollywood for years. At 88 years old, Redford has come forward to confirm long-held suspicions. But what has Redford revealed? And how will his confession impact his legacy as one of the greatest actors? Join us to explore these stunning revelations. The rumor that rolled too far. In a special episode of BBC's Talking Pictures, a surprising moment had viewers laughing and asking questions. The show took a trip down memory lane, looking at some of Hollywood's most famous on-screen duos. It featured rare interviews and behind-the-scenes stories, but one moment stood out. It was an unexpected 1982 interview with the legendary actor and director, Paul, that got everyone talking. During the interview, the host, Ian Johnstone, with a playful smile, brought up a strange rumor that had been floating around for years. With a mix of curiosity and humor, Ian asked Paul if it was true that he had once ordered toilet paper with Robert's face printed on it. Everyone in the room seemed to hold their breath, wondering how Paul would respond. After a brief pause, Paul chuckled and confirmed that, yes, there was some truth to the story. He admitted that he had indeed ordered the custom toilet paper, but in the end, he chickened out and never went through with the prank. The toilet paper rolls stayed in storage, never seeing the light of day. Can you imagine having boxes of toilet paper with your friend's face on it, just sitting there? It's a bizarre yet hilarious thought. This funny revelation made fans wonder, was this just a light-hearted prank between friends, or was there something more to it? Some began to speculate whether it hinted at a deeper, playful rivalry, or if it was simply Hollywood humor at its finest. Was this quirky moment just an example of their shared sense of fun, or did it reflect a hidden tension beneath their friendship? While the story was funny, it also left us with questions. Did Robert ever find out about the roles? What would he have thought? The mystery of the face on the toilet paper became more than just a joke. It sparked a curiosity about the true nature of their friendship. Yet, through all this, Robert is still a legend, and the rumors might be true. How much did he achieve? Let's dive into it. A life honored by the world. Robert Redford has lived a life full of meaning. While many know him as a famous actor and director, his true impact goes far beyond the screen. Over the years, he has received some of the world's most special honors, not just for his talent in movies, but for his love of nature, his care for people, and his efforts to make the world a better place. In 1989, Robert was given the Audubon Medal by the National Audubon Society. This is their highest award, and they gave it to him because of his deep love for the environment and his fight to protect nature. A few years later, in 1995, Bard College gave him an honorary degree, a Doctor of Humane Letters. It was their way of saying thank you for his powerful work in film and beyond. In 2008, Brown University also honored him with a Doctor of Fine Arts degree. He stood proudly in front of a group of graduating students and shared simple but wise advice about following your dreams. Then, in 2015, Colby College invited him to speak at their graduation and awarded him another honorary degree. These moments showed how much he has inspired young minds all over the country. But the honors didn't stop there. In 1996, President Bill Clinton gave Robert the National Medal of Arts. It was a huge moment that recognized how much he had shaped American culture. Then in 2010, France made him a Chevalier of the Légion d'honneur, their highest order of merit. And in 2016, Robert received one of the greatest gifts an American citizen can receive: the Presidential Medal of Freedom, given by President Barack Obama. This was a true celebration of a life well lived. In 2005, he was also honored at the Kennedy Center for his work in the arts. Then, in 2008, he received the Dorothy and Lillian Gish Prize, an award given to people who bring beauty and meaning into the world. That describes Robert perfectly. To top it all off, in 2009, the University of Southern California created a special award in his name, the Robert Redford Award for Engaged Artists. This means that his legacy will live on, encouraging others to use their gifts to bring change, hope, and kindness into the world. He has won the hearts of many, but most do not know how he began. What was his childhood like? What pushed him to greatness? Let's find out. Before the fame. Before the red carpets and awards, Robert Redford was just a bright-eyed boy growing up in a quiet neighborhood in Santa Monica, California. Born on August 18, 1936, he lived a simple life with his loving parents. His father, Charles Redford Sr., worked hard as an accountant, while his mother, Martha, took care of the home. They weren't rich or famous. They were just a regular family trying to live a good life in Van Nuys, far from the glimmer of Hollywood. Even as a child, Robert was different, not because he got top grades, but because he was full of imagination and energy. School wasn't his favorite place, and he often called himself a bad student. But what he lacked in academics, he made up for in creativity. He loved to draw, play sports, and spend time outside. Tennis was one of his favorite hobbies, and a moment he would never forget was practicing with the great Pancho Gonzalez. That was a big deal for a boy who already dreamed of something more. Robert's family roots were a mix of Irish, Scottish, and English. His great-great-grandfather came to America from England in 1849. While part of his family lived in Connecticut, another part had Irish and Scotch-Irish roots. Visiting his grandfather in Austin, Texas, gave young Robert a deep love for nature, something that would stay with him forever. He went to Van Nuys High School and even shared classes with Don Drysdale, who later became a famous baseball player. While school never quite clicked for him, Robert kept going, focusing on art and sports. At just 11 years old, he had a mild case of polio. It scared him, but he got better and stayed strong. After high school, he went to the University of Colorado in Boulder. He joined a fraternity and worked at a local place called The Sink. But college life wasn't easy. He started drinking too much, lost his way, and was eventually kicked out. It was a tough time. His future felt uncertain. But Robert didn't give up. He packed his bags and traveled across Europe, visiting France, Spain, and Italy. He lived simply, drawing and painting, and soaking in the beauty of everyday life. It was during these quiet days that he started thinking seriously about acting. When he returned to the U.S., enrolled to study art in New York. This choice would shape his life forever. What began as a journey filled with questions and challenges slowly turned into the beginning of something extraordinary. The rise of Robert Redford. Robert Redford didn't become famous overnight. His journey to the top was slow, quiet, and full of small steps. There were no flashing lights or instant applause, just a young man with big dreams and a heart full of passion. It all started in New York City. Robert moved there from California to follow his love for art. He studied painting at the Pratt Institute, hoping to build a life as an artist. But soon, another dream took over. Acting began to call to him, and he answered by joining the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. He was eager to learn and ready to work hard. In the beginning, the roles were small. He took any part he could find, on stage or on television. He wasn't famous yet, but he was learning, growing, and building his confidence. In 1959, he stepped onto the Broadway stage in Tall Story. Then came The Highest Tree and Sunday in New York. These early plays didn't bring fame, but they gave him the experience he needed. Then, in 1963, everything changed. Robert starred in Neil Simon's play Barefoot in the Park. It was a hit. Audiences loved him, and critics praised him. Suddenly, people began to notice him. He also made appearances on popular shows like The Twilight Zone and Perry Mason, and even earned an Emmy nomination. Slowly but surely, his star began to rise. He moved into movies with small roles at first, but each one added to his charm. In Inside Daisy Clover, 1965, he acted alongside Natalie Wood and won a Golden Globe. More films followed, and he worked with big names like Jane Fonda and Paul Newman. Then came the film that changed everything, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid in 1969. His chemistry with Paul Newman made movie magic. And just like that, Robert became a household name. Through the 1970s and 1980s, he starred in big hits like The Way We Were, The Sting, and All the President's Men. But Robert wanted more than fame. He wanted to tell stories that mattered. In 1980, he directed his first film, Ordinary People. It touched hearts and won big at the Oscars. Robert even won Best Director. He didn't stop there. He made Brubaker, The Natural, and Out of Africa. Beautiful films full of emotion and meaning. A River Runs Through It and Quiz Show, showing the world he was more than a movie star. He was a storyteller. Even in his later years, Robert still played romantic leads. In Up Close and Personal, he starred with Michelle Pfeiffer. And in The Horse Whisperer, he directed and acted in a powerful story of healing and love. His gentle strength never faded. In the 2000s, he continued acting and directing, but also focused on something even bigger, helping others. He supported films with strong messages, like The Motorcycle Diaries and Sacred Planet. His love for the environment and for giving others a voice grew stronger. And then there was Sundance. What started as a small idea became one of the biggest film festivals in the world. Robert didn't just create movies, he created a space for others to shine too. Robert lived two lives just as every other actor, which are on and off screen. But his was unique. He was filled with love to give. How did he navigate through love and life? Let's look into it. A love that shaped him. In the late 1950s, a young and searching Robert Redford met someone who would change his life forever, Lola Van Wagenen. They came from two very different worlds. Robert was a free spirit from sunny California, filled with dreams of art and adventure. Lola was calm and steady, raised in a quiet Mormon family in Provo, Utah. But something clicked between them. There was a gentle spark, a quiet connection that neither of them could ignore. Their love grew quickly. In 1958, full of hope and young passion, they made a bold move. They eloped. They didn't have much money, and they didn't have a plan, but they had each other. It felt like something out of a romantic movie. But real life is never that simple. Their early years together were tough. Robert was just starting out as an actor, and jobs were hard to come by. They lived in small apartments and counted every dollar, but they were in it together. Every small role Robert landed felt like a victory for them both. Their love, strong and full of promise, kept them going. Then came heartbreak. Their first child, a baby boy named Scott, passed suddenly from SIDS. It was a pain no parent should ever feel. The grief could have torn them apart, but instead, it brought them closer. Lola's quiet strength helped Robert through the darkness. She stood by him, steady and brave, and he never forgot it. As time went on, Robert's career took off. He began starring in big movies, traveling for months at a time. Lola stayed home, raising their 3 children, Shauna, David, and Amy. She kept the family together, creating a warm, loving home while Robert chased his dreams. Her role was quiet, but it was everything. But fame can be heavy. Long separations, the stress of Hollywood, and Robert's growing fame began to pull them apart. He later admitted he wished he had found more balance between work and home. He was so focused on building a career that he didn't always see what was happening at home. The love was still there, but the connection they once had started to fade. Still, there were many sweet moments. Lola wasn't just Robert's wife, she was his partner, his encouragement, and his safe place. When he dreamed up the idea of the Sundance Film Festival, she supported him completely. She believed in him when others didn't. Without her, that dream might have never come true. By the mid-1980s, their paths had grown too far apart. In 1985, after 27 years of marriage, they quietly divorced. There was no bitterness, no drama. They stayed close, raised their children together, and remained important in each other's lives. Even after the divorce, Robert often called Lola the love of his life. She had been with him through the hardest times and the best ones. She helped shape the man he became. A life written in love. By 1987, Robert Redford was already a legend. He had conquered Hollywood, acting, directing, producing, and inspiring millions. But behind the fame and flashing lights, his personal life was just as full of stories. Some sweet, some sad, but all deeply human. Right after his divorce, Robert found himself drawn to Sonia Braga, a vibrant Brazilian actress with a fire in her soul. The connection was instant. She was bold and full of life, and Robert was captivated. Their love burned fast and bright. In 1988, they walked the red carpet at the Cannes Film Festival, turning heads with their smiles and their spark. It was a whirlwind romance, passionate and intense. But just like a summer storm, it passed quickly. Within a year, they had gone their separate ways. Still, the memories remained strong, full of color, excitement, and charm. Then came Lena Olin, a graceful Swedish actress Robert met while filming Havana in 1990. Their on-screen chemistry was undeniable, but off-screen, the feelings were just as real. Lena brought something new into Robert's life, a quiet, thoughtful connection. At the movie's premiere, when they kissed, it wasn't acting, it was real. Their romance lasted about a year, but it made a lasting mark on Robert's heart. Lena understood his world, his pressures, and his passions. Their time together was short, but sweet and deeply felt. By the mid-1990s, Robert's romantic life slowed down. It wasn't filled with headlines or paparazzi anymore. Instead, he spent time with Kathy O'Rear, a gentle costume designer who didn't care about fame or spotlight. She was younger than him, but what mattered most was how calm and balanced she made him feel. While the world saw Robert Redford the icon, Kathy saw the man behind the fame. She gave him peace, laughter, and a break from the chaos of Hollywood. Their relationship was quiet, and maybe that's what made it so special. Each woman in Robert's life brought something different. Sonia with her fire, Lena with her soul, Kathy with her calm. These were not just romances. They were lessons, memories, moments of joy, and times of reflection. They shaped the man Robert was, both on and off the screen. And then there was Jane Fonda. She wasn't a lover, but she was someone incredibly important. Jane and Robert shared a kind of magic on screen. Whether in Barefoot, in the Park, or The Electric Horseman, their chemistry was always real. Jane once admitted she had deep feelings for him. She called him stubborn and sometimes moody, but also completely fascinating. Their bond wasn't romantic, but it was filled with admiration, respect, and a quiet love that lasted through decades. His journey through love seems to be unstable, but he found peace. Who did he finally settle with? Let's dive into it. A new chapter with Sybil Sagers. Robert Redford's life took a beautiful turn when he met Sybil Sagers, a talented artist and passionate environmental advocate. Their story didn't start with flashbulbs or red carpets. It began quietly, in the peaceful surroundings of Robert's Sundance Mountain Resort. Sybil, or Sil, as her friends call her, arrived at Sundance in the late 1990s. Not knowing much about Robert's fame, imagine meeting one of the world's biggest stars without even a hint of awe. For Robert, who had been surrounded by attention for so long, this must have felt like a breath of fresh air. Their connection wasn't about Hollywood or movie sets, it was two people discovering each other for who they truly were. Before they met, Sybil watched a few of Robert's films to understand his work. But when they finally sat down for dinner, the conversation was free from the world of fame and cameras. Instead, they talked about life, nature, and their passions. As time passed, their bond grew stronger. Both shared a deep love for nature, creativity, and living a life that mattered. In 2009, they decided to marry in Sybil's hometown of Hamburg, Germany. It wasn't a grand event for the press. It was intimate, heartfelt, and meaningful. Just the two of them, celebrating their love in the most personal way. Sybil's art beautifully reflects her connection to the earth. Her paintings, sketches, and performance art are filled with vibrant colors and deep emotions. Each piece carries an important message about protecting nature. Through her work, she encourages people to appreciate the planet. For Robert, who had always been drawn to powerful stories, Sybil's art brought a new level of understanding to environmental issues. Together, they combined their talents to create something truly special. In 2013, they co-founded The Way of the Rain, a non-profit organization aimed at using art and performance to raise awareness about the environment. The project blends visual art, music, and spoken word to inspire people to take care of the planet. For Robert and Sybil, this cause became a shared mission, one that strengthened both their love and their commitment to the world around them. Looking at Robert's life, it's clear he always embraced new experiences with an open heart. Whether in his career or his relationships, he wasn't afraid to take chances. From passionate romances with Sonia Braga and Lena Olin to the peaceful companionship with Kathy O'Rear, and finally, the deep connection he found with Sibylla. Each chapter of his life added a beautiful layer to his journey. Robert Redford's family story. Through all the highs and lows in Robert Redford's long life, one thing always stayed the same: his deep love for his children and grandchildren. No matter how famous he became or how busy his career got, Robert never let that take him away from the people who truly mattered to him. His journey as a father and grandfather has been filled with both joy and pain, but also with pride, love, and inspiration. Robert and his first wife, Lola, had 4 children: Scott, Shauna, James, and Amy. Their first child, baby Scott, passed away when he was only 2 months old due to sudden infant passing syndrome. It was a heartbreaking loss that left a deep scar in Robert's heart. Even though time moved on, the pain of losing a child never faded. That moment changed him. It made him realize just how precious life is, and it only made his love for his family grow stronger. Robert's second son, James Redford, carried the family spirit forward in a special way. Like his father, James loved storytelling. He became a filmmaker and also worked hard to protect the environment. His passion was fueled by his health battles. He needed 2 liver transplants in his lifetime. Instead of letting that stop him, James turned his challenges into purpose. He spoke up about organ donation and used his films to raise awareness for social and environmental causes. James and Robert worked side by side to create something meaningful. They started the Redford Center, a nonprofit that tells powerful stories to inspire people to take care of the planet. Sadly, in 2020, James passed away from liver cancer. It was a deep sorrow for Robert, but also a time to reflect on the incredible man James had become. His kindness, strength, and creativity continue to touch lives through his work, his children, and everyone he inspired. Robert's daughters, Shauna and Amy, also carry his creative spark. Shauna, born in 1960, chose a quiet life away from the cameras. She became an artist and focused on raising her 2 children, Micah and Connor, with her husband, writer Eric Schlosser. Though she avoids the spotlight, Shauna's gentle strength and love for family mirror the values Robert always held close. Amy, the youngest, followed more closely in her father's footsteps. She became a filmmaker, director, and producer, creating powerful and heartfelt stories. Amy blends her dad's gift for storytelling with her modern voice. Whether she's working on a film or a music video, she puts her heart into every project. As a mother of 3 daughters, Amy knows how to juggle the busy life of parenting while staying true to her creative dreams. Now a proud grandfather to 7 grandchildren, Robert finds joy in watching the next generation grow. One of his grandsons, Dylan, has even stepped into the world of film. In a fun twist, Dylan convinced Robert to do something totally unexpected: voice a dolphin in a quirky film called Omniboat, a fast boat fantasia. It shows that even after decades in the industry, Robert still embraces creativity, playfulness, and most importantly, family. As he grew older, many thought it was time to step away, but Robert thought otherwise. Let's look at some of his later films, his retirement and lasting legacy. A bold final act, roles in his later years. As Robert Redford grew older, one thing never changed: his deep love for storytelling. While many stars slowly faded from the spotlight, Redford kept shining. He didn't settle for easy roles or familiar paths. Instead, he chose bold, brave, and heartfelt projects that showed just how powerful his talent had become with age. In 2013, he stunned audiences in All Is Lost. In this movie, Redford played a man lost at sea, completely alone, with no other actors and almost no words. It was just him, the ocean, and the struggle to survive. And yet, without saying a single line, he showed fear, hope, strength, and heartbreak. Viewers could feel every emotion. Critics called it one of the best performances of his life. It proved that sometimes silence can speak louder than words. Then, in 2014, Redford surprised everyone again. This time, he joined the Marvel Universe in Captain America, the Winter Soldier. He played Alexander Pierce, a powerful man with a dark secret. Redford, known for his heroic roles, was now a villain, and he played it perfectly. Younger fans who had never seen his classic films were now seeing just how talented he was. It was a reminder: Robert Redford could play anyone, anywhere. In 2015, he followed his heart with A Walk in the Woods, a gentle and funny story about two old friends hiking through nature. Redford had dreamed of making this movie for years, first wanting to star in it with his best friend, Paul Newman. Sadly, Newman passed away before the film could happen, but Redford carried the dream forward, turning it into a sweet, thoughtful journey about friendship, aging, and the beauty of life. Then came 2018, and what many believed would be his final performance. In The Old Man and the Gun, Redford played a lifelong bank robber who couldn't stop smiling even while breaking the rules. It felt like a love letter to the charming characters he had played long ago. The movie was warm, full of heart, and a little mischievous, just like Redford himself. Fans and critics saw it as the perfect goodbye. But Redford had one last surprise. In 2019, he returned one more time in Avengers: Endgame. It was a short scene, just a few minutes, but it was powerful. Seeing him again, standing tall, reminded everyone of his impact. His presence lit up the screen, even if only for a moment. A life of stories and purpose. Robert Redford has always lived through stories. Whether he was in front of the camera or behind it, storytelling was the center of his world. For him, making movies wasn't just about fame or money, it was about sharing something real. Every role he played, every film he directed, came from a deep place in his heart. He believed stories could help people feel, think, and even change for the better. From the very start of his career, Robert didn't chase the spotlight. He wanted to take roles that mattered, roles that made people stop and think. Over the years, he moved from charming young heartthrob to wise, thoughtful actor. His journey wasn't fast or flashy. It was slow, steady, and full of meaning. He built his success on hard work, creativity, and staying true to what he believed in. But Robert's story didn't stop at film. He brought that same love for storytelling into his personal life. As a father, he encouraged his kids to follow their dreams. As a grandfather, he listened, learned, and cheered his grandchildren on with warmth and pride. His family wasn't just part of his life, they were the most important chapter in it. With his wife Sibylle, Robert found a partner who shared his love for art, nature, and purpose. Together, they used their talents to support the planet and the people around them. Whether through painting, performance, or protecting the environment, they created a life that was full of beauty and meaning. Robert also knew pain, real, deep pain. He lost loved ones, and those moments left marks on his soul. But instead of letting sorrow stop him, he used it to grow kinder, wiser, and more thoughtful. Every person he met, every love, every loss became part of the story he was telling. Not just on screen, but in real life. Now, in his later years, Robert Redford stands as more than a movie star. He's a symbol of quiet strength and deep kindness. He showed us that a life doesn't have to be loud to be powerful, that it's okay to be gentle, that the best stories are the ones told with love. His legacy isn't just in the movies he made, it's in the way he made people feel, in the hearts he touched, in the change he inspired. Robert Redford's life reminds us that stories aren't just meant to entertain, they're meant to heal, to teach, and to bring us closer. Outro. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe and also click the next video shown on your screen.